a wild week of pro wrestling. It has been a week that I didn't think would be this altering of a pay-per-view that is, at the time of SmackDown, 5 days away. This is just going to be a Survivor Series prediction show. Hello everyone, welcome to Wrestling Reverb. I am, of course, Josh. I'm only here on my own this week, but before we get into any talk about Survivor Series, obviously I have been doing some other things, as you all know, who all follow me on all on all the fronts, on all media platforms. I've been doing YouTube videos, Twitch streaming, and podcast. And the podcast has always been my first thing, obviously, and always been something where I can get my voice out. The videos were just something I could be a little bit more creative on, I guess, is the word to use. Just a little bit more lighthearted than a podcast. I like that they're different. I like being able to sit down on a podcast and actually talk a little bit more seriously about wrestling, a little bit more in depth. On a video, I'm just it's a 10-minute, I just stuff around, really, and it just ties into wrestling, which is still great, still fun, very different kinds of fun for me for both. Twitch is just another element of that as well. Now, obviously, something I didn't really expect so fast is that my videos are kind of getting a lot more attention than I originally intended they would, and I just want to let everyone know who maybe doesn't watch my videos. I'm not asking, all I can do is ask everyone to watch them. I'm not saying you have to watch them or have to listen to the podcast. Some people only listen to the podcast, some people only watch the videos. That doesn't bother me at all. There's different markets for things and whatever it may be. But I just want to say to everyone to the podcast who's thinking maybe that I am kind of going to stop doing the podcast and I'm only going to do videos or vice versa. That's not the case. I'm always going to do both. Like I've said I think I even said on last week's podcast or the podcast before, there might come a time where I kind of combine the both a little bit with videos, and then I might start recording my podcasts. I don't know yet. I don't know. It's the beauty of what I'm doing is that I'm 100% in charge of everything. I can, say and do whatever I kind of want to do, which is what I like. I like being completely at home. Every single day, this gets closer and closer to being my job, and that's what I want. I want to be able to do something that doesn't feel like work. Does this get hard? Yeah, it does. Podcasting can get hard. Video making, it gets hard. It's very time consuming. I'm sitting in front of a screen a lot of my days, promoting and editing and, just different elements to what I'm doing. But it's definitely not a complaint. I love doing it. In, the next few years, I have plans. I want to make this big. I do. But if it doesn't ever get to the point where it's big, I'm still going to keep doing this. This is so fun to me. It's such an outlet for me just to talk. It's just fun. And I kind of released a video prior to recording this podcast just saying thank you to everyone. And just my podcast listeners, anyone who's been here from day one or this is their first episode, it doesn't bother me where you kind of come along. It's just that the fact that you're here and you're listening, you've taken time to listen to my comments, whether they mean anything to you or mean nothing. It does truly make what I'm doing worth it in a sense, I guess. But anyway, let's get less sentimental. Let's talk about this week in wrestling because it's been a little bit crazy. Now, I will get to my predictions, don't worry, but obviously I need to talk about the segment at the end of Raw because it was gangster. It was a really great segment. Take away the outcome of it. And obviously Becky is someone we don't need to explain. She's the man. She led a SmackDown invasion of the Raw Women's Division. It was cool. The segment was great. Nia kind of clocked her in the face with a bit of a punch. Just a tad. Becky's nose was broken. She's got a pretty bad concussion. She's out of the match this Sunday. Well, Monday here. So the match, I think most fans were looking forward to the most, is no longer happening. But Blessing in Disguise, I'm pretty certain that match is going to main event WrestleMania, and it's going to be the first women's match to close Mania, I'm pretty sure, and it's probably going to be one of the most anticipated women's matches we may have ever seen. Becky is white hot, and Ronda's pretty hot as well. So, you combine those two elements, and you have just magic, I guess is the word to use. But anyway, let's get on. I just wanted to get that out of the way so we can clear it up, so you don't think I'm just ignoring the fact that Becky's not there anymore. I definitely am not. So I've got WWE.com up here, and we're going to go from bottom to top, and we're going to run through all the matches at Survivor Series. Obviously, there's a kickoff match. There's a 10-on-10 tag team traditional Survivor Series elimination match. So we've got Team Raw, which is led by Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. We've got the Ascension, the B-Team, the Revival, and the Lucha House Party. They're going to take on Team SmackDown, led by the Usos. We've got the New Day, the Good Brothers, Epico and Primo, and Sanity along with them. Now, there's a difference with a prediction show than what I want. Last week I had the podcast. It was titled I Bleed Blue. I'm definitely Team Blue all the way. I want Team Blue to win every single match, no matter who's in it. I'm just going for Team Blue. Now, who do I think will win this match? I honestly do think SmackDown will take this one. It'll be fine. It'll probably be chaotic. It'll be fun. There's a lot of bodies in there. I do believe a couple of years ago we had a 10-on-10 tag team traditional Survivor Series elimination match. I do distinctly remember New Day being eliminated very quickly, but they were on Team Raw a couple of years ago as well, so there's that. But I think SmackDown are going to take this one home, so tick 1 for SmackDown. I think it'll be fun. It's just the kickoff match, whatever it is. We got the Raw Tag Team Champions, Authors of Pain, AOP, versus the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, The Bar, who have the Big Show by their side. This one is probably one of the harder ones to predict, to be honest, because I don't see AOP losing, but I also really don't see The Bar losing. Ever since they got Big Show, they've been pretty hot in terms of, just kind of beating the crap out of the New Day and stuff like that, ever since capturing the Tag Team Championships and yeah. I'm going to go with AOP on this one. I hate you, Red. I hate you, Raw. No, I don't hate Raw. It's just not as good as SmackDown. Raw is, I've said it before, Raw is a chore to watch. SmackDown feels like it didn't even get started sometimes because it's just going, and you're like, oh, the show's over. That's what I want. I want to not watch the clock when I'm watching a show. I guess that's the easiest way to put it. But I go AOP. I think the match will be hard-hitting. I don't really expect huge things from it, but it'll be fine. I think that's the kind of case of everything at Survivor Series. Nothing is going to be bad. We got the Cruiserweight Championship match. Here's something. So when I went to Super Showdown, I said that the moment of the night was Buddy Murphy winning the Cruiserweight Championship. And that was honestly the match of the night too. I honestly think that. And I don't watch 205 Live from beginning to end every week. It's just hard. I guess because I watch so much pro wrestling is that sometimes it just gets a little bit lost in the sense of things. But it's just 205 is, what's the word? I think it just is we've got Raw, we've got SmackDown, you take in NXT, you take in, everything else, and I just think 205 is the forgotten brand. And it is in some ways a bummer because if you watch highlights or just clips on YouTube of 205 Live, it's really good stuff. They're producing great matches. The character work on that show is actually really good. You got Mike Kanellis there with Maria. You look at all the stars of 205 Live, and it is a shame that it is the forgotten brand. But it's just, if I have to take away anything from wrestling in a week, it's this. This is the first thing on my list that gets chopped. It's just personal thing for me, just because I watch Raw and SmackDown live every week. I watch every pay-per-view. I try to catch NXT as much as I can. It's just, I watch, 90% of my life is watching pro wrestling. I do like to keep that other 10% watching other things or doing other things or just living my life, going to my other job. It's just what it is. However, I am happy that they're getting a spot on the main card of Survivor Series. Well, at this stage, it could get cut down to the kickoff. I don't know. Yeah, I'm glad anyway. So we've got the Cruiserweight Champion, Buddy Murphy, taking on Mustafa Ali. I think these two will kill it. I think Buddy wins. It's not Raw versus SmackDown, so I can go for whoever I want. But yeah, I obviously have Aussie blood bleeding through me, so I go for Buddy Murphy. And he's an incredible athlete. He is a big star in some sense of the words. I do think he has it. So I go Buddy. Moving along, we've got the men's 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series elimination match. Before I talk about this match in particular, I like Survivor Series elimination matches. They're fun, especially in the last maybe 5 or 6 years. They've gotten extremely good. They get a lot of time. They get a lot of effort put into them. I know that this pay-per-view is one of the big 4, but I think with Evolution and Crown Jewel, this really only had a 2-week build, which is a shame, but they've done the best they can in 2 weeks to build this pay-per-view to be amazing. They put a lot of attention on it, which it should have. I guess the pro of a 2-week build as opposed to maybe a 4 or 5-week build is that we had 2 very intense weeks of television building up to this. It was just all systems going. So that is a good thing. I think, in my opinion anyway, if I take away anything from that, that is the good thing. The men's 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series elimination match will be fun. We've got Team Raw, which is still led by Baron Corbin. I think he's the manager of the captain of that team, but he's not in the match. But anyway, it's Bobby Lashley, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, and Braun Strowman. Then you've got The Miz captaining the SmackDown team, which is Rey Mysterio, Jeff Hardy, Samoa Joe, and Shane McMahon. Now, obviously, it was meant to be Daniel Bryan and The Miz co-captaining. Why can't I say that word? I'm not really that fussed. Anyway, but Bryan, obviously, for other reasons, which I'll get into after, Jeff Hardy got put in his spot, which I think Jeff should have been in from the start, and I don't think Shane McMahon should be in this because I don't hate Shane McMahon at all, but sometimes he's always in these spots that could be for someone else. Would I like to see someone else in Shane McMahon's spot? Maybe an Andrade Cien Almas or a Randy Orton. The list goes on and on. But it is what it is. We can't change the fact that he's in it. This will be fun. This will be a really good match. There's some really good potential things to see out of this. I honestly think that Raw will take this one. I don't think SmackDown's got the men's Survivor Series match. Now, SmackDown haven't won Survivor Series the last 2 years. They need a win. And blue has just been better than red all year long. I think when SmackDown first started, it was awesome. It did take a little bit of a lull for a little while, but ever since kind of Mania, maybe a little bit before Mania, SmackDown's been on fire. SmackDown has consistently great episodes. There's not too many bad episodes of SmackDown that I can really list this year, which is a good thing. Raw, on the other hand, is like it's more finding the good episodes than the bad ones, which is a shame. But blue is just better than red, in my opinion. But I do think Raw take this out. I think Braun maybe runs through a lot of people. I could see Drew McIntyre being the sole survivor in some ways still. So it'll be fun though. But yeah, Raw takes that one out for me. Now, the women's 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series elimination match has probably, well, from this week, has got a lot more attention than the men's one in some ways. Now, well, I don't even know if this was an original, if Charlotte was officially in or not, but SmackDown are currently looking for one member. Now, I think it'll probably be a Mandy Rose, Alana, someone like that. Who knows? Maybe it'll be Nikki Cross. Maybe it'll be someone completely different. Maybe one of the Iconics. It could be any of them. However, it's Team Raw, which is captained by Alexa Bliss, who's currently out injured. Got Natalya, Nia Jax, Tamina Snuka, Ruby Riott, and Mickie James. Team SmackDown, which is, like I said, one member down. Sonya Deville, Naomi, Carmella, and Asuka. Now, Team Raw is predominantly heels. Team SmackDown is predominantly faces, with the exception of Natty on the Raw side and Sonya Deville on the SmackDown side at this stage. Here is my take on this. Would that be the 5 girls that I pick for Team Raw? Probably not. Would it be a combination of some of these girls? Yes. I would keep a Nia Jax in there. I probably would keep a Natty in there. In some ways, I'd probably keep Ruby in there. Maybe even Mickie James. I wouldn't have Tamina in there, but I guess by association with Nia, it just makes sense. I just think a Team Raw without Bayley or Sasha is it's a different kind of choice. However, it's still a fairly strong team. Bliss is, the captain of it. When you look at Team SmackDown, you have a bit more diversity. You've got Naomi and Asuka, Sonya Deville and Carmella, 4 very different workers. Where on the Raw side, Nia and Tamina are very similar workers. In some ways, Natty and Mickie are very similar workers. Ruby's just kind of in the distant background. Ruby without the Riot Squad is very different than Ruby with the Riot Squad. But, that being said, the Riot Squad may be accompanying them. I don't know. Which gives Raw a slight advantage. Now, something about this match, there's something, I don't know, something tells me that this is going to get a little bit of a change-up, maybe on the night, maybe they announce it in the next couple of days. But there's just something about this that just doesn't scream ready. Obviously, with the addition of a 5th member on the SmackDown side would make a difference, but there's just something that isn't right here, I feel. But I could really just be wrong, and it might be just a personal thing because I just pictured maybe Sasha or Bayley in the team. But it's not a problem. I think the teams are still very good. I do think SmackDown take this one home. I think, whoever the 5th member is, whether it is just like Mandy Rose or Lana or something like that, it just makes me think that because they haven't announced it is someone different, but it just might be a matter of element of surprise on the night. I do think SmackDown still take it home. I think it'll be fun. Last year's Women's Survivor Series match, from memory, was a pretty decent match. If you just look at the year that has transpired since that, like, Becky was the first one eliminated. She was the team captain. She was the first one eliminated. She was eliminated within the first couple of minutes of the match. Alicia Fox was on the team. She was the team captain last year. It was actually a really fun match. I do hope they can. There is a lot of cool little matchups that we could see in there. I do want to see, like, I haven't seen Asuka and Nia Jax work in quite a while. We've never really seen Asuka and Natty work, or just different things. It'll be fun. I do think SmackDown take it home though, whoever their 5th member is. This match is going to be a little bit different. I think the champion versus champion stuff is fun. A lot of people complain about it because there's no titles on the line. But for me, this is what Survivor Series should always be. Should always be SmackDown versus Raw. I like the brand split in general, but you've got the Intercontinental Champion Seth Rollins, the United States Champion Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, Nakamura's run, I've talked about it before, has been underwhelming, in a word. Seth Rollins' run as Intercontinental Champion started off really great, but because of all this other stuff that's going on with Dean and all the stuff that happened with Roman Reigns and the Shield in general, his run has become a little bit whatever in the last month or two. Now, this is a little bit of a dream match in some ways. It'll be fun. It's something we've never seen, Rollins and Nakamura. I do think that via Dean distractions, as much as it's Raw versus SmackDown, I do think Dean does something because Dean cares about Dean. Dean doesn't care about Raw. I do think that Nakamura does win via that. Am I a little bit more biased because I am on the blue side? I guess so. But I do think that Dean does something. But if there's no Dean, then I can't really see Nakamura going over. But I do see Nakamura going over via Dean. I think it'll be a killer match. It definitely is one that could steal the show very easily. I do think that match will probably kick off the show as well. It'll be fun. It'll be a fun match. Moving along. We have Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair. Now, obviously, this was meant to be Becky Lynch and Ronda, and as I said at the top of this program, it's a blessing in disguise this isn't, because I think that'll be a bigger match down the road. Now, obviously, Charlotte Ronda was something that was talked about as the main event of WrestleMania for ever since Ronda came in, ever since the Rumble. I think this was kind of in the back of our minds and what we assumed, and I think it was what WWE had planned for WrestleMania. However, because of Becky's injury, they had to kind of come up with a big enough match to fill that void. And maybe behind Becky and Ronda, Becky Charlotte is the next best thing. These two are going to kill it. Now, does this in some ways suck? Yes. Obviously, we wanted to see Becky and Ronda now. But also, if you take away even Becky Lynch from the equation at all, Charlotte and Ronda deserves to have a big story, big build, and it needs to be a big match. I think WWE went into a little bit of a panic mode. Personally, I think they should have went with Ronda Asuka and maybe Charlotte Ronda down the line somewhere else. But who knows? Maybe after WrestleMania, Ronda goes away. She has talked about wanting to have a family and stuff like that. But who knows? It's always something they can revisit. Hey, it doesn't mean that this isn't happening at WrestleMania. It just means that we're getting it first here. I think they're going to kill it. Ronda's very, very good. Charlotte is very, very, very good. It'll be fun. The place, for the circumstances of with Becky and all that happening and she not wrestling anymore at Survivor Series and all the stuff that's happened between Charlotte and Becky, it's definitely fighting for Becky Lynch in a way, and obviously fighting for Team Blue. But I think Ronda goes over in this one. As much as I want Charlotte to win. I do want Charlotte to win. I am a Ronda Rousey fan in the sense of I think she's very good and I think she has just an incredible appeal. But in sense of do I love Ronda Rousey, just taking away all that, do I love Ronda Rousey? I don't. I like Ronda, but I don't love Ronda. She does have a sense of coolness about her, and she, there is a sense of she is a badass and she, really does stir the pot with everything, and she's different to everyone else, but I'm not her craziest fan. But that being said, I've never been Charlotte's craziest fan, but I do realize the appeal that she has, and I do realize how good she is. I do think she is one of the best. But I do think Ronda goes over. Just because of all the stuff with Becky, and if they want to keep Ronda hot, they need to keep her winning until WrestleMania, and I do think Becky's the one to beat her at WrestleMania. But, like I said, personal opinion, more so than anything. Now, this match, the main event, in some sense of the words, WWE Universal Champion Brock Lesnar versus new WWE Champion Daniel Bryan. Now, let's sit back and relax and talk about this one. Now, we were meant to get Brock Lesnar versus then WWE Champion AJ Styles. We were going to get a rematch of last year. Was I excited? Oh boy, I was excited. I knew they were going to kill it again. We're going to SmackDown this week. Paul Heyman comes out and talks a bit of crap to AJ Styles and talks about Daniel Bryan, how he's not as good as Daniel Bryan. Bryan comes out, you all watch the program. Daniel Bryan ends up winning the WWE Championship from AJ Styles in the main event of SmackDown this week, with a little controversy. A little low blow while the referee's down from Daniel, and then his feet were also under the ropes when he pinned AJ Styles, which is something that we kind of forget because of the low blow. We got a little Daniel Bryan heel turn, which is not something we'd probably say a week ago that was happening. I talked about in my YouTube video this week how hot Daniel Bryan was when he was, going for the WWE Championship, in late 2013, early 2014, and that build, and you looked at him, take away all the injury stuff, and he was a babyface through and through. I think we forget some of the heel work that he's done previously in the company and how great he is as a heel, but this is a different heel. This is a little bit more, it seems a little bit more sadistic. He wanted to really hurt AJ Styles. Now, a lot of people were complaining that we're not getting AJ Brock because it was so hyped and stuff like that. And I can understand that, but we've seen AJ Brock, and yeah, I'd like to see it again, but we've seen it. We haven't seen Bryan and Brock ever. This was a dream match for Bryan. I know personally, he's said in multiple interviews that this is his match that he wanted for so long. I think this is a match a lot of fans wanted. Maybe some people are a little bit worried because of Bryan's history with injuries, but Brock Lesnar, is he a little bit rough and tough? Yeah, I guess so, but he's still a pro wrestler. He still has to keep people safe, as does Bryan. Bryan can hold his own. I think this match is going to surprise a lot of people. Now, who do I think wins? I know this is going to probably be in the minority, but I actually think Daniel Bryan is going to win. I know people, Brock always, just wins, but I honestly do expect Daniel Bryan to win. This is going to be a different kind of Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan match than we're used to. It's going to be really just, I'm not going to use the word amazing or great or even good. I'm not going to use the word bad or okay. I'm just going to use the word different because I see this match as just different. It's interesting. It just adds a different element to both of them. Especially if you add in all the fact that what Daniel Bryan did to AJ Styles this week, and it just adds a completely different element to him, which adds a different element to the match. We're going to see a different Daniel Bryan, and I think by association we'll see a different Brock Lesnar. I do think that. This is going to be really good. Survivor Series as a whole is just going to be really, really good. But Team Blue all the way. I'm going to go all blue out. I'm going to be all blued out by the end of the day, but I do hope and I do think, let's count up who, let's see, I didn't even count as I was going through of what predictions. So I've got blue, red, blue, red, blue. Even. Crap. Well, I'm 50-50, guys, but I do hope blue pulls it out. Who knows? Maybe they won't. Maybe red will, because WWE all about Raw. Nah, I'm kidding. Blue. That'll do it for this week on A Wrestling Reverb. I will catch you guys for a video next week. I'll catch you guys for a podcast next week. I'm still working out. The only thing I'm having trouble with is my Twitch streaming, because every time I like to stream lately, my internet likes to shit itself. So it's really great. But I'll get on that. That takes a little bit more getting used to than the other things, but it's all coming around and it's all happening. And I appreciate everything. And I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.